Welcome to the Halfhill Report. News and items of interest for and about the village of Halfhill, the Valley of the Four Winds, Pandaria, and all of Azeroth. Halfhill Report is produced in cooperation with Halfhill Agricultural College, dedicated to serving the educational needs of the greater Valley of the Four Winds community. I'm your host, Toshmifune, and it's listener letter time. This week's letter is from that awesome gnome himself and friend of the show, Frasley Sparkspan, who writes to us all the way from Ironforge, until the gnomes one day retake Gnomeragon. And he writes, Dear Tosh, I just learned that Pandaria is the remains of an old god. Have you known this? That's remarkable. Now, it does make me wonder, are the miners and tillers doing backbreaking work? Well, what a great pun, Fraz. You know, Pandaria certainly has an interesting history that we actually talked about in some of the early Halfhill reports in a feature we called Great Moments in Pandaren History that I would encourage our listeners to go back and listen to. Thanks for writing. And now, on with the news. Continuing our coverage of the escalation of the conflict between the Alliance and the Horde, rumors continue to circulate that the Alliance is preparing for a full-scale assault on the Zandalari trolls, and that the target may be the heart of the Zandalari Empire itself, Dazar'alor. Despite the ongoing conflict, the champions of Azeroth, led by Magni Bronzebeard, continue their ongoing campaign to heal the ailing Azeroth by healing wounds throughout the world. However, if I may be allowed an editorial comment here, there does appear to be a certain irony in the fact that the champions themselves are actually benefiting from Azerite power while on this campaign. The Halfhill Report is made possible this week thanks to a generous donation from the Ashvane Trading Company, proudly serving Kultiris and points beyond with shipping and trading ventures of all types. Ashvane, it's everywhere we want it to be. It's time now for the Rizhak Report, a semi-regular report from our goblin in the field. Take it away, Rizhak.
Hey there, college. How you doing? So, let me tell you about my latest adventure, although there sure wasn't no profit in it for me or anyone else. I was hanging out with some of my sources at the Great Seal, and they was talking about this Captain Conrad, who had been sent to Nazmir to meet with the Blood Trolls. The goals of a mission were open up trade and learn how we can work with them. My sources were laughing at the Alliance and saying how that was just nonsense, because anybody who went near those Blood Trolls got chopped up and put in a soup pot. But I saw an opportunity. I thought to myself, I bet these guys are just, misunderstood because of their, unfortunate name. They probably like gold just as much as the rest of us, and I can do business with anybody like that. So, I pulled some strings with my connections and tagged along with Bran Bronzebeard to a place called Tolvor, where we found the captain in a pretty sad state, I gotta tell you. College, I never seen such a place. It was awful. I mean, there were some really nice masks and some beauteous pottery. No high-ticket items, but some good stuff for the average trader. Except that everything, and I mean everything, was sticky with blood. There was jars and bowls full of blood. I'd like to tell you it was from Animals College, but it wasn't. There were troll body parts scattered everywhere, and that so-called captain, who was supposed to be setting up trade, was preparing to kill one of the trolls as a sacrifice to some god or the other just when we arrived. Well, Bronzebeard soon put a stop to that, but the whole place was just creepy, and no way to make any gold that I could see. I wouldn't even send in my ogres to clean that place up. Too far gone, college. Too far gone. Even Bronzebeard said about the captain, what a whack job. Well, we headed back to Fort Victory, and I ain't never going near that place again. I hope to have a more profitable story for you next time. And speaking of profitable, you doing any thinking about turning Halfhill into a resort destination? I'm telling you, it's too good an opportunity to pass up. You'll be rich before you graduate college, I promise that. Let me know as soon as you decide.
Well, that's about as close to an actual war report as I think we've ever gotten from Rizhak, so that's good. And starting this week, we finally have a sponsor for the Rizhak Report. And you're not going to believe this, folks, but the Rizhak Report is sponsored by the Keen Bean Kaffa Company, a Grummel-owned and operated kaffa trading company. Keen Bean. Good beans, good kaffa. Checking the Azeroth calendar, the Dark Moon Fair has folded up its tents for the month, so I hope you had the chance to enjoy the fair. But if you didn't, fear not. It'll be back next month, as always. And in just about 2 weeks, the annual Lunar Festival will be underway, and throughout Azeroth, people will be celebrating the legacy and memories of their beloved and heroic ancestors. It's time again for our weekly feature, The Inside Story, with everyone's favorite Draenei food and lodging critic, Velmic. So, Velmic, tell me, have you and Daolin found a place here in the valley yet? Hey there, Tosh. Yes, we find very nice little one-room home in Heartland, not too far from Halfhill, that we rent from Farmer Mung. He give us very good deal in exchange for me to help look after crops there. Cabbages, watermelon, squash, things like that. Oh, that's great. Hey, let me know if you need any help around the farm. No offense, Tush, but I think maybe it's better that you not help. Yeah, you're probably right. Anyway, it's good we find a place, because Daolin will be rejoining her unit soon, and she was glad to find a place and get Alice settled before she go. Oh, I'm sorry she's going to be leaving, but it's good that you found a place. So, what about this week's review? So, Cousin Demesis hear about a place called Northrend that she wanted to see, and I've never been to either, so we traveled to Menethil Harbor and take ship called Northspear to Daggercap Bay. Captain John Bookman and his crew carry us to southern end of Northrend, and we come in through Narrow Passage. As we are cruising through Passage, I am thinking maybe we make mistake coming here, because first thing I see is ship wedged into cliffs, and it's on fire. And then I see tower with giant skulls at base. What kind of place is this? And then when we are drop off at docks at Valgard, I see this is more military post than town, and it's been there very long time. Valgard is in what would be a very beautiful place surrounded by high cliffs and lovely waterfalls, but it sits in shadow of Utgard Keep and a village of savage Vrykul. So, they have their challenges there. It's a very active place that Alliance adventurers and heroes come to start adventures in Northrend. I am very surprised to find many Draenei there, including Anchorite Yasmina, who is a Draenei healer, who is treating defenders, but says she doesn't have all supplies she needs, although I think she is just grumpy because I see many crates marked with Red Cross for medical supplies. Well, it sounds like an interesting place. Did it even have an inn? Yes, it does. The inn, which, interesting, has no name, is kept by innkeeper Hazel Lagrasse, and she tell me that her very large and beautiful inn was built before the Vrykul come. She keeps very nice and well-appointed inn, and she is also local florist and sells nice flowers, few drinks, and a couple different kinds cheese. Bartender Coot, the stranger Albertson, also sell only drinks. Only other person I find who has food is general goods trader Wink Sprinkle Sprankle. Boy, try and say that 3 times fast. Anyway, who only sell crusty flatbread. So, if you go to Valgard and want anything other than cheese and bread, I suggest you pack yourself a lunch. Well, that must have been a little disappointing. It was, especially after a long boat trip to get there. Anyway, There is large upstairs at inn with a few beds and very pretty balcony that overlook Daggercap Bay. Inn and all of Valgard has large community of trainers for many different professions. So I would imagine that this is very good place for adventurers going into Northrend who need to be better at their professions before setting off. So Demesis went with you. What did she think about Valgard? Cousin Demesis spoke with Vice Admiral Keller there, and she was impressed with him and discipline of his soldiers. She thinks Valgard is a well-run military camp that guards important port into Northrend, and that it is nice that there is pleasant inn for soldiers to relax. She was very curious about large structure that looks like they were building on north side of Valgard. She tried to ask Dwarven foreman Miles McMoody, but he was grumpy and wouldn't take time to answer any questions. I tell her I think maybe it was some type of weapon, but wasn't sure. She also wanted to take flight offered by Gnome McGoiver to Explorers League outpost, but at that point it was late and I had to get back to Alice, so we didn't have time. Well, it sounds like it was a pretty interesting place to visit. So what's your review of the inn at Valgard? Well, this was a tough decision. Demesis tell me I should give 4 crystals because they are running an inn, and a very good one, for a military outpost. But I think it only get 3 crystals because there is no good food and it only have bunk beds. So we compromise and give 3.5 crystals. Well, there you have it, folks. Next time you're traveling into Northrend, sounds like Valgard may be a good place to stop. Until next week, Dionys Aka, my friend. Dionys Aka Tiyutosh. See you next week. From the Halfhill Community Calendar, next week, Halfhill Agricultural College will be hosting a symposium on the geological history of Pandaria and Azeroth. Featured speaker will be Je Thanun, founder and president of the controversial Flat Azeroth Society. Well, that should be interesting. I wonder if I could get an interview with him. As always, we are coming to you live from the Lazy Turnip Inn, proudly serving locals and visitors the finest food and drink to be found anywhere, including cold, refreshing Storm Stout brew, brewed with only the finest local ingredients by the fine Pandarians at Storm Stout Brewery. When in doubt, reach for a Storm Stout. Well, thanks for joining me again this week, folks, and make sure to tune in later this week for a new radio program, You Can't Do Business with Sylvanas, a hard-hitting drama describing the experiences of a reluctant goblin trader following his story from just prior to the War of Thorns up through today's dramatic headlines. See you next week, and remember, free Pandaria.
Want more awesomeness every week? Visit weeklyawesome.com. Weekly podcasts to make your week better. Remember to smile and be awesome.